Welcome to Scary Basement. Each week, me and my friend Roxy are drawn inexplicably and supernaturally to this basement, which is full of old, spoiled calamari, a rabid wildebeest, a Russian nesting doll, but instead of smaller and smaller dolls, it's eviler and eviler ghouls, and the physical embodiment of death. I'm Mikey McCollor.
And I'm Roxy Polk.
Roxy, let's start out, as we always do, with the scariest things that happened to us this week. What went down in your life, Roxy, outside of the scary basement that spooked you to your bones?
I cleaned the trunk of my car.
Oh, God. A lot of murder victims back there?
Yeah, specifically it was the, there's like a gutter around the trunk of my car that will like catch debris so it does not contaminate the interior of my car. And there is so much muck and grossness just in Portland. It's rainy all the time. And there's a bunch of really tall trees in my not in my apartment, by where my car is parked. So all kinds of just gross tree debris lands down there. And then that and the water create a kind of sludge that it looks like literally the black goo from the movie we watched last week, which was The Hollow. It looks like the Hollow goo, Mikey. It's that gross. So I put on some gloves and I cleaned out the gutter of my trunk, and it was disgusting, but now I have a clean trunk gutter, so yay.
Roxy, it sounds like your trunk was full of what one of my favorite professional wrestlers once described as tree sperm.
Ew. I mean, there's a lot of pine needles and leaves, and I guess there's some of that too. It sounds disgusting.
One of my favorite pro wrestlers, Daniel Bryan, or I'm sorry, his name is Bryan Danielson now.
Okay.
There's an interview he did for some reason that has become a meme where he talks about, when I eat an apple, I'm essentially eating tree sperm. Most fruits are semen. And that's what it sounds like your trunk is full of.
Wow, I love how now that's going to be something I can't not think of whenever I eat an apple, which I eat fairly often, actually. Thanks for that gift, Mikey. So, Mikey, what is the scariest thing that happened to you this week?
All right, Roxy, let me set the stage.
All right.
I'm dog sitting for a friend of mine. I'm over at his house.
Edge of my seat. Okay.
It's late at night. I had just ordered Postmates. I put in my order. I pushed the button. It's on its way.
Good.
Not 2 minutes after ordering Postmates, again, late at night, we're talking like 11, 12 p.m.
Okay.
There's a knocking at the door.
All right.
And it wasn't just my imagination. Like, the dog barked too.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here wondering, was my Postmates being delivered by Sonic the Hedgehog? Why was it so fast? There was something so incredibly disconcerting about pushing the Postmates button and immediately hearing Postmates arrive that was truly upsetting to me.
Was the place really close by? Like, where did you order from?
Here's the thing. There was nobody there. My actual Postmates came like 45 minutes later. But who was knocking on the door?
Some sort of creature or stalker person who maybe you gotta be careful if they followed you back from your house sitting trip, Mikey. Have you been getting any mysterious knocks on your door late at night?
It hasn't happened again yet, but can I tell you what's truly scary about this?
Okay, other than maybe being stalked by some psycho or creature?
Right.
What else other than that?
What's really scary is that the economy is so bad right now that it wasn't wild for me to think that maybe Sonic the Hedgehog is delivering Postmates.
He's got to make a living somehow. Is there like a good exchange rate on those rings that he's always gathering? I doubt it. Not in the real world.
Can you imagine Sonic the Hedgehog like going to Target and he's got like, you know, a little box of salad and some Alexa plugs that he's going to take home and make his setup a little better. And they're like, okay, $42.92. And he puts like 4 rings down. The Target employee is just looking at him.
And like, I can't do anything with that. I need to call my manager. He's like, what? But this is currency.
And then Sonic jumps into the air and does his homing attack on the Target employee.
And then you can just walk on out of there for free. It's one way to solve a situation.
Here he comes, the Demon Bot.
Mikey and Roxy, last week you were assigned the 1975 film Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. Did you watch the film or your soul's forfeit?
Yep, I watched Jaws.
I watched it as well.
Then prove you watched the film by giving a short plot recap.
Okay, well, here, let me just say, Demon Bot, In Jaws, the movie opens with a shark eating a girl. The sheriff wants to close down the beaches because you can't have people swimming at the beach if there's a shark eating it. But since it's the big 4th of July bash, the mayor decides to keep the beaches open for the sake of the town's economy. And our hero, Sheriff Brody, eventually convinces the mayor to come around. He gets his buddy Quint and his other buddy, what's his name? Richard Dreyfuss, to get together, and they get out on a boat and they go hunt down the shark.
It appears you have watched the film. You may keep your souls.
Cool, Roxy. High five.
All right.
For now.
Ooh. Big waste of a high five.
But at least we didn't high five Demon Bot. I almost did. I was like raising my hand up, and then I was like, wait a minute. And then he said the
Yeah,
line.
he did that thing where he was like, had his hand up for a high five, and then he pulled it away and went, for now. And we were like that one kind of hurt worse.
Yeah. We're all prepared to like celebrate together, and he just crushed it in the bad way.
Well, Roxy, let's go through this movie and talk about it as we go. The major moments that happened in Jaws. We open on a beach. There is a girl named Chrissy who is going swimming.
Mm-hmm.
It's like stuck in my brain. Like I had this movie on DVD as a kid, and I didn't watch it a ton. This is actually the first DVD I ever got.
Weird. I feel like everybody's first DVD was something really weird like that, right?
Yeah.
Like just randomly you had Jaws. I think mine was like some Colin Farrell movie that I can't even remember where it was now.
What do you think would be the best movie to be your first DVD?
I don't know. I'd say that varies per person. Do you have an answer to that?
Well, I think that like Citizen Kane should just come with DVD players. It's like a good movie.
Uh-huh. Yeah, universally touted. Very good movie.
Universally beloved. I think anybody could watch Citizen Kane and enjoy it. It's a very funny movie. I don't know.
It's kind of like, you remember how like consoles would have those packs where it would come with a couple of very landmark titles? I don't think DVDs did that, but they should have done that.
Every Super Nintendo came with Super Mario World. Every DVD player should come with Citizen Kane. It's obvious to me.
There you go.
This is why we went digital. So it opens with this girl running across the beach, you know, like being chased. Like they're flirty. They're having a bonfire.
Yeah, there's like a guy she was making eyes with, and they're like, we should go skinny dipping, I guess, in the ocean. And like the guy is so drunk, he's like stumbling and falling over, and she's like, tee-hee, keep up. And he just like can't even put a foot in front of the other.
Roxy, he's so drunk. It's like some of the best drunk acting I've ever seen. It was like, yeah, this guy is drunk. He's like kind of self-aware. He's just like, I know, I gotta figure this out.
He like literally falls asleep half in the surf and half not. He's like, give me a minute, and then just literally passes out.
The moment when the girl, Chrissy, is running towards the beach and the guy is chasing her, he's like, where are we going? She says, this is why I was talking about my DVD, because like I'd seen this movie, just the beginning of this movie so many times, that her going, swimming, is like burned in my brain. And like I didn't remember anything about this movie until I heard that, and it all came back to me. Swimming! So she's nice. Obviously things don't go well.
Yeah, it's too bad what happens to her. Yeah.
We get these really cool like POV shots of the shark like coming up on this girl. Like she's like swimming, and so we're getting these shots like from the POV of the shark. It kind of reminds me of Halloween, how we're like opening in the POV of
that's
the killer, the monster.
Point. Yes. Yeah, exactly. There's a couple of points where we get like kind of Jaws POV. Also cheaper than having to show the animatronic. So two birds, one stone with that. It's more creepy, and you're keeping your monster within people's imagination before you're ready to show it. It's a good way to like foreshadow it.
I feel like it's so much more effective than if we were seeing this shark.
Oh yeah, 110%. It's the right choice. Mm-hmm. I think when I was watching this movie, I was looking up to see if there was any other behind the scenes stuff I could find. And apparently like the rig that they had this actress on to like whip her around in the water where it looked like she was getting eaten, like kind of like bruised her up. So like they thought, like I think there was something where they were like, oh, she got hurt on the set, or like got actually like broke her leg or something. She's like, no, I just got some bruises from like being whipped around the water really fast. It was fine, actually. Well,
you suffer for art.
I guess so. That's what she did.
That's the way it works. So, okay, after that, we meet the town sheriff, Brody. His job is to keep the people safe. He wants to close the beach. So, but here we get the first hint that the town mayor is not gonna like what closing the beaches would do to the town's
He's an
economy.
absolute piece of shit, you mean? Yeah.
It's really, like, we talk about this every time, right? Most times in horror movies, the monster is not the sinner, right? The monster is not the idea that we're rallying against. The monster is just kind of this amoral creature. The shark is just being a shark. It's not good or bad.
Yeah.
But this Mayor Larry, I don't remember his last name, history's greatest villain. He's just like,
He's
oh
the worst.
God, we gotta make money. Like, and I do kind of get it. Like, it's sort of his job to, like, he's in charge of the town, and the town is a vacation town. You know, they make all their money for the year over the course of the 4th of July. It is the 4th of July.
But the thing is, their customers dying is much worse than them losing business because they closed down. And he's just, this stuff, like, hits really different. Like, actually, I told our mutual friend Francesca that we were going to be doing this movie. And she was like, oh yeah, I actually rewatched that recently, and it hits way different because of COVID stuff. And I was like,
oh,
what?
sure.
I can't imagine that. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, like, who cares about the safety of individuals? That's not important. We're just gonna barrel on ahead because money.
Well, not only that, there's, like, this point of view that I think the mayor in this movie embodies really clearly, that, like, is so afraid of what's happening, and it's so far beyond him that he is, like, actively working to keep his head in the sand. Like, that is so terrifying to me.
Because
like,
exactly, admitting it's real.
He's working against his own self-interest.
Yes. Yeah, that's, like, the worst part of it. Yes, it is against his own self-interest, and it's just because he's scared, which is, like, you can understand that. But then, like, the greed aspect, too, where it's like, one, I don't want to admit it's real. Two, if I admit it's real, then I have to do stuff about it. And then three, if it's real, then all these other things are going to domino, and I won't get to do what I want anymore. And because he chooses to pretend that it's not real, it's a lot easier to just... It's so weird. That scene where they, like, confront Brody on the, like, little dock thing, it's like a ferry. He's, like, they're bringing their cars across. Where it's, like, Brody on his own, just leaning against the railing, and then the mayor and 3 of his henchmen or something get out, other, like, town people in suits. They, like, corner him.
Well, importantly, one of those characters is the coroner, who is backing up the mayor's claims that this is not a shark attack, that this is probably a boat attack.
That's right. Yeah, he changes his tune on it, and he's like, what? And especially because, like, Brody is the one who takes the responsibility when, like, that goes wrong later, which we'll go into, where he is doing his best to protect people, but, like, he's not being given the tools to do it, so he literally can't. Which is so frustrating.
It's upsetting.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Brody is, like, a great movie hero just in general, in that, like, he doesn't push the blame even when the blame is on somebody else. Like, he's just taking it. He's being this basin for people to dump their anger and sadness in throughout the movie.
Yeah, because he's like the middleman kind of.
All of these horrible things are happening.
But I think he also takes the blame himself, because he is like a person who feels responsibility and cares about the people in the town and like his position. He's the best example of an actual sheriff you could ever hope for, where he actually gives a shit. Yeah, I should have pushed back further against the mayor to, like, not let it be open. I just decided to let the mayor steamroll me and be like, okay, I guess. I mean, who knows how much he would have been able to fight against that had he chosen to dig his heels in and say, like, fuck no. But he acknowledges within himself that was a failing, that he couldn't do anything. Like, he puts it upon himself, even though the blame should not be with him.
And I will also say the very first line, Brody's very first line in the entire movie, is to his child, right? His kid, like, runs into the house, and he's got, like, a slice on his hand. And Brody says to him, stay off those swings, they're dangerous. Like, the very first thing Brody says is, like, he knows where danger is, and he knows when it is to be avoided. Like, he is smart and capable. Like, he's just, like, such a great movie hero. I love him so much. He's just like, him and the coroner are the two poles to me. It's like, the mayor is evil, but the coroner is just such a coward. Like, he calls up Brody and says, like, yeah, this was a shark attack. And then on the little ferry, he's like, actually, it could have been a boat that hit her.
Yeah.
The economy is perfect.
The actor does a really good job, too, of just looking like a horrible little weasel man who just, like, completely bowed the minute anything happened.
Unbelievable, this guy. So the beaches stay open, and of course, That next day, the shark eats again. Eats a little boy named Alex Kittner.
Yeah, so it's a child this time.
Very sad. Very sad. We get this beautiful, beautiful shot of Brody, like, sitting on the beach, and he's like...
Oh, that zoom! The zoom-in thing. The
zoom-in
weird
thing.
dolly thing. I looked up how, the exact explanation of how they do it, but it's like the most iconic use of that type of
It's
shot.
so good.
Whenever you think of that type of shot, you think of that.
And they also do, like, a really good job of, like, setting it up throughout that. Like, he has all of these moments of, like, scary things happening that, like, people will scream and he'll, like, look over, but it'll just be, like, because they're, like, shoving each other in the water.
Yeah, because, like, he's still trying to do his best. He's, like, going to be essentially
Mm-hmm.
a lifeguard. He is only at the beach to make sure people don't get eaten by sharks. And to the point that, like, if people come up and literally rag on him about it, I think they might have even been some of the dudes who were on the ferry. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, Brody also has a fear of water, which I can't remember if they talked about that before. Not just that he wouldn't go in the water normally, but now he has, like, a reason to be hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
While at the beach.
That, I think, is the only real flaw of this movie. It's that, like, Brody's true character, like, he starts out as a perfect man, perfect for the job. He is perfectly right. And his only real character change is by the end, he's, like, less afraid of water. And that feels kind of like, at the last minute, they realize, like, oh, Brody doesn't really evolve as a character at all.
Yeah, it's
Let's
kind of
just
more of
kinda
a
bolt this
Spielbergian
on.
thing. Yeah, where it's more like you're watching Brody have an adventure. You're not watching him go through an arc, I guess.
Right.
Which is perfectly fine. But yeah, it's kind of, I would say, I agree with you that it's sort of missing something in that.
Yeah,
it's
like bolted on. They mention it 2 times in the movie.
Yeah,
and then,
I think if they had leaned harder on it, maybe it would have been more of a evident thing, I guess.
Yeah. It would have been, like, really powerful to see him, like, at the end getting on the boat to go hunt the shark if we'd seen him, like, in the water and scared and having, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good idea.
Fighting, tussling with an octopus. And then we're like, oh, that's why you're afraid.
Well, maybe not that far, but it would make sense that he just fights sea creatures all the time. He's fated to fight
it would rule
sea
so
creatures.
much if Brody just kept getting into these scrapes with the fish monsters. So we move on to the town hall meeting, and everybody who comes makes it very clear they would prefer the beaches to stay open.
Even though a child died, they watched a fucking child get eaten. They're like,
Absolutely.
oh, did we? Is that how he died? Like, there's literally people who are questioning that.
This is a movie, so we've talked about this on the podcast before a bunch, this idea of plot versus story. Like, the plot of Jaws is there's a shark and we have to go stop it. And the story of the movie is, like, at what point does something become so dangerous that we as a society start to sacrifice our economy for it? Like, that's
or just like our
emotional
comfort
story of it.
For safety, I guess.
This movie has the best story to plot ratio I've ever seen. Because it's like 90-10 story, 10 plot. Like, they kind of don't... The shark is certainly driving the events, but, like, this is about a man frustrated with a town, and they do such a good job of setting them up, and they're all so villainous. Ugh, I love it.
And, like, in small, very ordinary, realistic ways, too, which I think is why it like, gets you so much, because you're like, yeah, we literally have experiences happening, and it's stuff that has happened in the past, it'll happen again, which is kind of, I guess, one of the more bummerish parts of it, but it's a very real thing that it is tapping into.
For real. So we also, at this town hall meeting, the mother, Mrs. Kittner, has put a bounty on the shark, and we meet Quint.
Shark bounty. It's like a
there's
hand-drawn sign.
Wanted posters around town.
Wanted shark. Oh, she put it in the paper, too, I think. Because, like, I think, I can't remember if we're going to get into that now or later, but, like, it gets a bunch of weird out-of-towner people who are like, yeah, give me $3,000 to kill a shark, and they're just going insane.
I want to see, like, the shark's wanted poster, and it's like a photograph of a shark, like, from the side, and then just it's, like, white shark belly. Like, you get the 2 mugshots next to each other.
We think you look like this. There you go.
So... And I read a little bit about this movie, and the script it was like being rewritten as they were making the movie.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That's wild.
And I don't remember who it was. There's one actor who, like, appears just kind of like a chubby dude. I can't remember who he was, but he's like the screenwriter who is like on set rewriting this movie to, like, give it more of a sense of humor.
Oh, for real? Oh, yeah, like, this is based on an original novel, and the original novel is extremely different.
That tracks to me.
Yeah, like, in insane
because
ways.
you can tell there are a lot of, like the fear of swimming being kind of bolted on. I would argue that Quint's appearance here is very cool and, like, a good setup, but I can just, again, see these development meetings where they're like, why did you introduce this huge character, like, 3/4 of the way through the movie? Like, seed him in there somewhere. Find a way to put him in there. And it becomes this incredible iconic moment where in the middle of the town hall meeting, Quint scratches his fingernails on the chalkboard and gets their attention and says, I'll get this shark for $10,000.
And he, like, says it as,
and they're like, all right, we'll think about it. And then he goes away.
Yeah, he's like old-timey fisherman bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Shoot, who is Moby Dick? Who was hunting Moby Dick?
Oh, Moby Dick's dad.
Yes, of course, Moby Dick's dad. He's got that vibe to him.
You know what role he kind of feels like he's playing here is the teens are driving up to the cabin for the weekend and they stop for gas and the old man is like, don't you go up there. Like, this man with gravitas who lays out that, like, you are in trouble now, boy.
Yeah, yep.
But it is kind of like, it's not super satisfying to just have Quint appear.
Well, yeah, 'cause he just, like, says that and then leaves.
And and they just go, it's so funny to me. They're just like, we'll think about it, and then we don't think about it. And it's like, it doesn't affect the story at all until the very, very end.
Yeah, I think that's when, like, the wacky dudes from out of town who are, like, all getting into boats in the water and, like, bumping into each other and shit start doing things and causing chaos.
Yeah, we get some, it's another just, like, quick appearance from the shark, where, like, a bunch of guys go out onto a dock and try to catch it, and the shark just destroys the dock.
Yeah, and then the scientist friend, why can I not remember his name?
Matt Hooper.
Hooper, yeah, I think, does he show up, like, after this? I think,
yes,
too.
This is when our buddy Richard Dreyfuss, Matt Hooper, comes to town. He's all sarcastic and smarmy. He's just fucking...
He's Brody's new best friend. BFF forever.
He is like this... he's almost the mentor of this movie. He's just like, no, Brody, you're correct. You should be using your voice. You should be trying to stop these things. Like, he comes in and sets it.
Because he is an outsider perspective as well. Yeah. He's like a science-minded person, and he's an outsider, so he can see, like, how fucked up it is.
Yeah. It's very cool. He's like an expert on sharks. And he comes in, and he's just like, yo, you got some problems here, folks. You guys are all, like, he's shaming them. He's going to, like, these people and shaming them. And it's just like, it's got this, you want to talk about reading differently post-COVID times. It's got this, like, the New York liberal is here to come and shit on our way of life. And it's like, they're right, though. They do kind of have this, like, the townsfolk dismiss Richard Dreyfuss throughout this movie.
Yeah.
Like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Look at this little faint little boy.
Yeah, there's like little intellectual guy who, whatever, he just put your nose back in a book, buddy, no one's listening to you, sort of feel to it.
So then, Roxy, one of my very favorite moments in this whole movie that is like, I don't think holds up. I think it's very stupid, but I love that it happens. They catch a different shark.
Yeah. It's a thing. Yep. That does indeed happen.
Somebody catches a shark and they come in, and it's like, again, I see why you do this from a screenwriting perspective. Like, it's so good to have this, like, moment of hope. Like, you don't want the whole movie to be like, are we going to catch the shark? How do we catch the shark? It's
and
like,
even
hey,
Brody,
we caught the
too.
Shark.
Like, you see him get really excited thinking that they did it, too, because he doesn't have, like, the knowledge to know that the bite size doesn't fit at all. You know?
They give us this moment of hope so that, like, our emotions are, like, up and down. And I think that's why this movie has been so effective for so long. It's just like, we're on the ride with these characters.
And they're so desperate to, like, have that proven.
Things.
Yeah, like, they're so desperate to have it proven be true. Like, especially the mayor, too. He fucking shows up and is like, of course it has to be it. There can't be any other sharks. It has to be it because I say so and I want it to be over. So,
which also is a reasonable thing. The idea that there are two sharks is truly wild.
I mean, there would be lots of sharks in the area, though. I mean...
Would there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe.
I think, like, sharks aren't that rare. I mean, obviously, like, a great white shark is, but...
Sure. And this is where Hooper comes up and he's like, I don't think that's a shark. Like, he measures the tiger shark's bite radius and he's like, I don't know about all this. And so that is when we get Hooper and Brody having dinner together. And they're both freaking out, and they just get so blasted drunk.
They really do.
And so then they cruise on down. Hopefully Brody's wife gave him a ride. And they go down and cut open the shark, and they don't find the little boy's remains. They're like, this is not the shark.
The funny thing is, like, they're egging each other on like they've already become bros. They're like, you know what we should fucking do? We should fucking cut open that goddamn shark. Let's just go do it. No one's gonna say no. We're gonna go do it. And then they drunkenly go do it.
And what a great bonding moment. Like, these two, like, I buy their friendship so much because they're in this bizarre circumstance, but they're so, like, simpatico. They
feel like the only two sane people in town. Yeah.
And they clearly like each other. Like, they go out on this boat, and they go to, like, look for the shark, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they find, like, a smashed up boat, and Hooper puts on his diving suit and goes down in there. And it's this really effective, this beautiful scene. We're getting, like, lights shining through the water and into the boat.
Yeah.
And that's when they find this, like, the skeleton of a man who got eaten by the shark. I guess it's just a body.
Yeah, but you see the face,
skeleton.
Like, his face lulls into frame, like, from the broken, like, damage that kind of sunk the boat to begin with. And also that whole scene, it's very tense because you don't know if the shark could come up and, like, eat Hooper. You know, he could.
Right.
And, like, that's why Brody's so nervous up on deck. And I think that's also when you learn that, like, Hooper's family is really rich. He literally bought that boat that they're using and, like, all of the tools and everything to, like, go after and investigate sharks.
Which, again, it just, like, I don't know, it's kind of, like, the one point for the town that, like, he has the privilege to say, like, don't, you know, the only people who say, like, money won't buy you happiness, money is not important, are people who have money.
Exactly,
right? Like,
yes, yeah.
He doesn't have any skin in the game if the town shuts down. It's the right decision, but he's just like, you morons, why don't you just shut it down? They're like, oh, then I can't pay my heating bill, and my baby will freeze.
Yeah. It's another very valid point.
But so, this is where they find the great white's tooth.
Oh, yeah. And then he gets so spooked by the dead body that it gets lost to the ocean.
Oh, so sad.
Their proof, Mikey. They lost their proof.
And this is when Mayor Larry is just like, I don't care what happens. The shark could come tell me that he's going to eat one person a night for the next 12 nights unless he gets 12 million American unmarked bills. And the beaches are staying open.
Which is insane, because they get even more, like, record numbers of people there. And then they're like, but it's a great white. And he's like, how can you tell? And they're like, we had a tooth and now it's gone. Fuck. And so he still won't listen to them, even though the expert is literally telling them that was there. And it's like, you don't know about sharks, dude. You should just listen to the expert. That's kind of the point. It's why that's his job.
This movie is such a great, like, it's such a great, like, comedy sketch, because you're just, why can't the, I'm trying to think of, like, a good SNL iteration of this. It's just like, I hate Rob the copy guy so much, and he's so frustrating, and it keeps finding new and heightening ways of, like, we're so frustrated with him. And eventually, like, that tension never gets alleviated on Saturday Night Live, and that's why that's a piss poor show. I'm just kidding. I love Saturday Night Live.
Oh, scathing reviews of Saturday Night Live.
Am I worried that Lauren Michaels listens to our podcast? I guess so. I guess I am. Do I want to get hired by SNL? You're damn right I do. I think I'd be great at it.
Then, let's keep insulting your new boss's show, then. Yeah. That'll do great for your resume.
I'm not sure if when exactly it happens, but at some point in this sequence, right in this part of the middle here, the little boy who got eaten, his mother, Mrs. Kittner, learns that another girl got eaten by a shark, and she approaches Brody
victim.
And is just like, why'd you keep the beaches open? And this is what we were talking about of, like, it's for poor Brody, it's
fucking gut punch.
He's taking this on.
Yeah. He looks her in the eye too. He doesn't, like, look away. The mayor is literally right next to him, saying nothing and, like, shrinking and, like, cringing in the corner. Because he fucking knows it's his fault. Because, like, after the lady says that, she's like, you left the beaches open, like, how could you? I think she even like slaps him too, I can't remember. After that, the mayor's, you know it wasn't your fault, right? And he, like, tells him that, even though it's like, but you didn't say anything, you were content to let everybody think it's my fault, even though personally we know it's your fault, and you're gonna keep that to yourself. Like, you're You're trying to act like you're my friend or like you're my ally or something in this moment for some reason.
Yeah.
But you're not. It's so weird.
But again, like, talking about the way this movie, like, sends us on such highs, we caught the shark, to such lows, like, you're responsible for my baby's death.
Yeah.
Like,
especially because the kid is
so...
The kid who died, her kid's like the same age as one of his kids, too.
Yes. So, the shark comes back.
He sure does.
He's like, the beaches are staying open, and they're like, well, it's a great white. It's gonna come back.
Yeah.
And it does.
Buffet time for Jaws.
And we get this really good sequence where Brody tells his son, Michael, to go play in the pond. And then the shark goes to the pond. Like, I remember watching this movie as a kid and being confused, thinking that it was Brody's son who got eaten. And it wasn't. It was Miss Kittner's son. And then I was like, well, didn't his son already get eaten? And just, like, not understanding, like...
The kids look very similar, too. They're, like, brown-haired white kids of, like, same body type, so...
This is the second episode in a row when I worry that I'm a sociopath.
Oh, no. What
is
it this time?
I think as a kid, I remember thinking, like, well, why is Brody so upset? Like, if it wasn't his kid. Because, like, I couldn't understand that you would have empathy for it.
Well, I guess it's more like you would expect the parent to be more upset about their own kid, maybe. Like, you're talking about kid logic when you saw it.
Mm-hmm. To be clear...
Kids don't have, like, the frame of mind. I'm trying to defend your sociopathic thoughts, I guess.
Yeah. To be clear, I was watching this movie while I heard a small animal.
Okay, then I take back everything I just said. Yes, Mikey, you are a sociopath. Don't think you have to even take the test to think we know.
Okay, great. So the mayor finally...
That makes me feel great. I'm glad to be in this room with you.
The mayor finally agrees to hire Quint after this most recent shark attack. He's just like, yeah, damn. What a shark we got here.
What a shark.
That does remind me of a thing I made a while ago where I photoshopped the title Jaws out of, like, the poster. You know, the famous poster that's got the shark coming up in the water. And I photoshopped out the title and changed in the same font, wrote, golly, what a shark. And it was like, why did they change the original title?
Because it wasn't wordy enough. It needs to be more wordy.
Pretty funny. Golly, what a shark. So the mayor is like, okay, yeah, hire Quint. We'll get his $10,000, which when I was listening to that, I was like, $10,000 to keep the beach open? Like, pay that. But in 1976 money, that was all the money in the world.
The entire town's coffers, I guess.
That was, like, the federal budget was $9,000.
Okay.
So it's a lot of money.
Yeah, and you need an extra 1,000 on top of that to go to shark eradication, so that's kind of a lot.
What is the current federal budget?
I'm sure if you can look it up, it will be horrifying, would be my guess. At least if you're looking at military spending, probably.
6.8 trillion. It's so funny to me that Quint would be like, I'll kill that shark for you for $6.8 trillion.
There you go.
Too much.
I mean, no wonder everybody was like, "Whoa, what a weirdo. Of course it will never be able to pay that. You're insane."
Their reactions do sound a lot closer, if that is the number.
Yeah. I mean, if we had only factored in inflation, it makes so much more sense now.
So, Quint, Brody, and Hooper, they get on the boat. They're going to hunt this bastard fish. They hate him. And they see him for a bit. This chunk of the movie does feel a lot like fishing. Like it's tense. You've got your line out, and it's just like they're kind of just hanging out. And
yeah, literally, they're just hanging on the boat. The rest of the movie is just these three dudes on a boat.
So cool.
Yeah,
this movie is almost a play certainly at this point. Like it could function as a play.
The way it stages out, especially like, you know, where they have the highs and lows where they're like having fun, hanging out. They think they catch something, then it's nothing. And then they get drunk and share horrifying, like, backstory. Get very real with each other about stuff.
And this is also the moment when, we'll talk about this when we resolve the bet a little bit later, but where Brody says, I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
He says it there. Okay, I forgot where they exactly said it.
And Roxy?
Oh, that's because they can't stop him, right? They do hook Jaws, but then he, like, gets away, right? That's what...
Yes.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Here was my massive disappointment with this movie.
Okay.
Knowing that there's this iconic line, we're going to need a bigger boat. I thought it was like a badass quip that Brody like turned to the camera and was like, we're going to need a bigger boat. And then they continued to like, okay, we're going to hunt the shark. But it's kind of his whole deal for a while. He says it a couple more times. He's just like, we should go back and get a bigger boat, right? It's so lame.
For real?
Man,
Man,
I was so bummed every time he said it after that.
I want to rewatch that. I didn't even realize that. That would be a very funny thing on rewatch to think about.
All iconic movie lines should be like one badass quip that ultimately doesn't affect the plot. I think,
and the character always needs to turn and look at the camera when they say it. That's how you know it's iconic.
In everybody's first DVD, Citizen Kane, he goes, Rosebud, as opposed to Rosebud. You think about tracking down what that means and spend some time finding out how it relates to my life.
Yes, that is the quote.
Time to die.
Exact quote, line for line. And is that when he like stands up and claps really emphatically or something? I've never seen Citizen Kane. I just know that meme, the clapping meme.
It's time for me to die.
Yes, congratulations. Time to die.
So, Roxy, let's talk about the very best scene, I don't know, in the history of cinema.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That night, Quint and Brody and Richard Dreyfuss get drunk in the boat and, like, sing sea shanties and talk about their lives and compare scars. This is like this to me is like the difference between a movie and art. Even though I don't like the term art, I don't think art is like a valid like the importance of it. Just like this moment could so easily be cut from the movie, and it would not be the great movie that it is. Like this moment is so realistic to me, just in the sense of like, when you're in these insane situations with people, or even when you're in like kind of uncomfortable situations with people. I mean, I feel like I remember having flights delayed and just like having like conversations like this with people when you're like stuck on the tarmac. Just these relationships that build in these moments of tension and quiet and frustration. I love this scene so much, and I want to watch it over and over. And I think every movie should just have a scene where the main characters just have a sleepover and talk about their lives. And again, has nothing to do with the story.
I mean, I'd be down for that. And I'd say it like galvanizes them as a team, as friends, and makes you care about them. So like when the stuff is going to happen to them, like, you know, Quint has been like kind of this weird figure up until this point where he feels like he is their friend now. And like you get his deal because he's going through his backstory about like why he hates sharks so much. And it's because
again is so funny.
It's crazy. And I actually had listened to a true crime thing after we watched this. Like one of these true crime channels I listen to from time to time literally covered the story he was talking about. And I was like, wait a minute. That was a real thing that happened. Like literally they went to go bring the atomic bomb over there, right? Or was it specifically the uranium, I think, for it? And then they get sunk, and then there's like hundreds of men in the water getting eaten by sharks and like dying in the water until they get help. Like it's real. And again, it's about how like
that rules, first of all.
Yeah, it's terrifying because like they also didn't know they were in this place because it's supposed to be a secret mission or whatever. So like they didn't get rescued for so long. And it's like, yeah, that would make me hate sharks and turn into a fucking weirdo who is gonna like hunt them until I die and become like the best shark hunter imaginable.
It's so funny to me. Like it's very much like the Indiana Jones, like, why did it have to be snakes? Like poor Quint has spent his whole life dealing with sharks. Like he's got a backstory where like a shark killed his friends.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know that we need motivation for him to hate sharks. I think it's okay that he hates sharks.
I mean, it's a fun little extra, but yeah, I agree. It was not necessary, but I'm glad they put it in there.
I'm so happy it's in there. So we get this whole night where they're buddies and they're drinking and they're swapping tales. And at some point, boy, oh boy, that shark attacks again. He's not done.
He can't stop himself.
Their method of hunting him, I guess, is to like harpoon him and attach barrels to him.
Yeah, like keep him from diving, I think, right? So they put a bunch of barrels on him so he can't get away.
And they do such a great job of like we got 2 barrels on him. No way is he going to be able to keep going? And he keeps going.
Yeah.
And then eventually they get 3 barrels. He's like, 3 barrels? And it's just like, I don't know exactly how these barrels function or not, but they do such a good job of like concisely saying like 2 barrels is a lot.
Yeah.
But 3 barrels, and the fact that he's still rocking and rolling after 3 barrels.
I think
cool.
that's when he goes under and like, does he smash the boat at that point or?
Well, this is where Quint like blows the boat motor out trying to get it back to shore.
Okay, gotcha.
Where Hooper's like, hey, settle down, go easy on it. He's like, we'll get back to
So much stuff happens on the boat like after they have that drunken hangout night that it all kind of like blurs together for me with the order. But okay, so he blows out the motor. Gotcha.
Blows out the motor. They're trying to get back. So the boat is just stuck there.
Okay.
Hooper decides they've been setting it up throughout the movie that he has this shark cage.
That's right. Yeah,
you know, that
the
is
shark cage part.
A real thing, you know, that people have cages that you can go down and look at sharks and not get eaten. And Quint sees it and he's like, buddy, you are going to get your ass eaten fast. And they do, like, again, this is another moment where, like, I don't buy this. I don't buy Hooper going down into this shark cage. He's just like, well, what else are we going to do? And it's like, I don't know, anything else. Like, that is...
Yeah, anything but that, dude.
He goes down, he's got, like, sleeping drugs in, like, a harpoon that he's like, if I can just shoot it, we'll get it to fall asleep. And Hooper goes down in the cage, and the shark does rip open the cage, and we think Hooper's dead, but he's not?
Yeah, you never actually see it happen. And then, yeah spoilers, he's not dead.
It's like, it's very much the moment where Jaws is like, I'll let you live a little longer. I'll keep toying with you, my prey.
Yeah.
Except he's literally his prey, not like how Bond villains do it.
Yes.
And this is also when, wouldn't you know it, our boy Quint gets eaten by the shark.
In a very, like, funny, slow way. It's so weird. It's like, it's funny, but also kind of more terrifying because of how slow it is. Because he's, like, kicking with his feet to, like, try and not get bit, and then he bites on one leg, and then just, you have Brody, who is, like, wants to help him, but he knows that he can't, he'll just get eaten too, because, like, the boat is half capsized by that point. It's, yeah, and that's when you have the shark up on the boat for the first time, and you see, like, the animatronic wiggling around, and...
I thought it looked great. I don't know what they were talking about. If I had seen that thing throughout the whole movie, I'd be like, yeah, perfect. Good job.
I think it does look good, too. And I bet, like, when you had seen it in theaters or on VHS, it would look even more convincing. Like, if you see it in HD 4K or something, it might look a little more rubbery or something, but I think it was still effective.
If I had seen that in the movie theaters, I would have written Steven Spielberg a letter that said, just, hey, nice looking shark, dude.
How dare you scare me with that realistic shark that you made? It's very good. Good job.
And he would write back, thanks. And we'd never talk again. Even though that night meant something to both of us.
That's all you need to say to him, Mikey. I mean, what else would you even say, right? He gets it.
So finally we get the final hero moment. Brody throws a gas canister into the shark's mouth and takes his revolver and is aiming. He's just like, come on, you son of a bitch. And he's unloading on the guy. And finally... he lands the shot, explodes the canister. The shark pops into at least 30 or 40 pieces.
It actually absolutely explodes his head. No more shark.
It is straight up raining shark. Hallelujah. Roxy.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's also when he's like trapped on the mast. Like everything else is sunken except for the mast. And he's just like wildly shooting. Sinking. All he's got is his fucking revolver. And it's just a couple of shots. If he can do it or not, he's gonna die or live on those shots.
And then Hooper comes back. He's like, hey, I'm okay.
He's okay somehow. He's
and
like,
then they
hey,
swim
buddy.
back together. And the movie ends so abruptly.
Yes! So I didn't remember it ended that abruptly. Like, I don't even think they make it to shore yet. They're just like, well, the shark's dead. That's all you need to know. And then we'll pan over to the shore that they don't get to yet. The end.
He says, Brody says something like, well, I'm certainly less afraid of the water now, or something. And it's like, okay, great. good, buddy.
I'm like half surprised it didn't even just end in a freeze frame on that with them like grinning and looking at each other after that line.
Don't you forget about me. And Roxy, that's Jaws.
That That was Jaws.
It's a great movie. Roxy, what do you think the big idea of the movie is? What deep human fear is this movie poking at?
I mean, we kind of talked about it before. I feel like so many of these, it's capitalism will just chew you up and spit you out. You're at its whims, whether you like it or not. And that, yeah, it doesn't care about the people who get ground up, the people who die along the sidelines, doesn't care about the environment it destroys. In the meantime, it's going to assert itself over everything.
Yeah.
The thing about killing the shark, too, is it's almost in service of that, because it brings the status quo back by killing the shark. The shark is just doing a shark thing in nature, and they kill it, so then you can keep just continuing to make money. So it is a win, but then it's like, okay, but yeah, now we're back to this again, I guess.
Hey, we did it. I said that it was about three things. Number one, capitalism. Number two, how small and insignificant we are in the face of nature.
Oh, yes.
The shark is kind of this metaphor for, like, if the world decides to take us back, it could.
Yep.
And then the third thing that this movie is about, in terms of what we're afraid of, is sharks.
Just sharks.
We're afraid of sharks.
I guess so. I mean, this movie has the infamy of demonizing sharks way more than they actually should be. Like, sharks are not these violent, horrible, terrifying creatures the way that they are made out to be. Like, most shark bites are kind of exploratory because they think you're something else. They think you're like a seal. They don't really want to eat a person. They give you a bite if they think you're a seal, and then they're like, ew, gross, I don't want that, and then they go away. Is more often what happens with
that. I would say is more hurtful than getting actually eaten by a shark.
Because they're being rejected by the shark.
Yeah. They're saying gross to me. No.
Yeah, they don't even want you. They
no one says that to Mikey
you
McCollor.
To be their prey. That's what you say to every shark you meet.
Yeah.
Every shark you meet. How dare you?
How dare you, sir? I present my leg like a fine fillet. Roxy, do you have a question for me?
I do. So we know our main character, our main man, Brody, he was scared of swimming. So I wanted to ask you, what is the scariest swimming experience you've ever had?
Okay, so I've got two.
Okay.
One that's tangibly scary and one that's even more scary.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. Once again, I'm terrified. What happened?
Number one, I was visiting California with my family. I was swimming out in the ocean, and I saw like a discarded plastic bag.
Okay.
And I looked close, and Roxy, it was not a plastic bag. It was a jellyfish. A jellyfish.
Was it one of those dangerous kind?
I don't know. I think it was dead. But then, like, I sprinted out of the water and just saw a bunch of jellyfish, like, on the beach, and I'm scared of jellyfish now.
Yeah, well, make sure you don't step on any of those. They can be quite bad.
They'll sting you. But then the other, and I would argue even more terrifying swimming experience, when I was in maybe third grade, I was taking swimming lessons.
Okay.
And Roxy, it was the first time that I experienced failure.
What?
Because I don't know. I don't even remember thinking that we were being graded or that I was like moving on, but I was in like level 3 swim class. And I got a report card at the end, and I failed level 3 swim class. And I remember taking it to my stepdad and just being like, what does this mean? He was just like, well, it just means you didn't pass the swim level. And I was just like, oh, that's too bad. I didn't know I was good or bad at swimming. And so then I had to go to level 2 swimming. And I took it with like a bunch of first graders. And so that was embarrassing.
No. Yeah, especially because then all of the kids who moved up above you, like, did you have one of those swim classes where it's kind of just like they will section off parts of the pool, so there's multiple classes and age groups going on at once? Okay, so yeah, you could see the other kids in like the class that you flunked out of. They're like, haha, Mikey's with the baby class.
I was with the babies.
Ultimate shame.
I'm still sad about it. Roxy, what was the scariest swimming experience you ever had?
So the scariest swimming experience I ever had, I was similarly a child when this happened. I went to a swim park. I think they were like my brother's friends. So it was like a bunch of his friends and like one of his friends. And then that friend had a bunch of siblings who also came with us. So I was kind of like doing my own thing because I didn't really know any of them. I went on like this slide that was shaped like a whale. It was relatively short, not like the scariest, most intimidating looking slide to like go down when you're a kid. So I thought, yeah, this will be no problem, right? I walked up, or like I climbed up to the top of it, slipped, hit my chin real bad enough to like start bleeding all over now. And since it's like a head wound, it bled a lot.
No.
So like I biffed the bottom of my chin so bad I was bleeding everywhere. And like I don't remember it hurting as much, but like seeing the blood in the water and like knowing your body can do that it can bleed that much. And then having the adults and other people around me like screaming because like the volume of blood, it looks way worse than it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Was just like terrifying.
Was it like in Nightmare on Elm Street where just like there's just like a torrent of blood?
Kind of, yeah. And like seeing adults act like that, like I don't think I'd ever seen adults act like that. Which I mean, I guess they would.
I'm picturing you hovering on a small torrent of blood like Mario in Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, see that's a recreation. Shigeru Miyamoto saw my childhood trauma and decided, you know what? We need Mario to do.
I love Shigeru Miyamoto, sunglasses on.
He was there, he was at the pool
lifts them up, he's like, now this is an idea for a game. And he puts his sunglasses on, and he cleans his gun.
Oh no. Why
does he have a gun? Who knows?
Don't you have like a bubble gun or something in that game? No, it's just a water gun, right?
Yeah, the gun also turns into a gun. Did you use your chin as a blood gun?
I sure did.
To spray
now that I think about it, like
pinatas?
I was like bleeding into the water. They didn't shut down the park or anything. It's got to be like a hazard, a hygiene hazard, biohazard. I created a biohazard and they didn't care. I have very distinct memories too of like my mother patching me up, sitting in like off the trunk of like an SUV or something. You know, they would just open it up. I was sitting there, and my mom like had this fucking huge giant like gauze pad under my chin. And being like, Roxy, well, we can't all go swimming anymore. Gotta take care of this.
I'm so glad you made it. I'm so glad you didn't lose too much blood.
Yeah, I somehow made it, despite the fact that I was gushing enough blood to pressurize me to travel great distances.
Pretty tight.
Yeah.
Roxy,
I mean, retrospect.
on a scale from 1 to 9, because the number 10 does not exist in the Scary Basement, how likely would you say the events of Jaws are to happen?
So I said 9 out of 9 that people will ignore threats and literally die from it because they don't want to admit the threat is real. Mm-hmm. Because capitalism exists and made it the situation where they had to. So, and shark attacks happen often, too.
That's exactly what I said. Roxy, this is our first true 9.
Hell yeah.
Both rights and capitalism both exist. This is a logical... This is a documentary.
Yeah, it truly is.
Last week we made a bet. At what timestamp does that famous "we're going to need a bigger boat" line occur? I said 1 hour and 35 minutes.
And I said 45 minutes.
Roxy, the answer was 1 hour and 21 minutes.
Oh, look at you.
It does happen towards the end. So yes, I will win that point.
You got it. Heck
totals at this
Very
point
close.
stand Roxy with 16, Mikey with 12, Ty with 1.
16. All right.
Excited to see how we have to spend those. I'll bet Demon Bot is going to torture us.
I sure hope
like in
not.
Metal Gear Solid. And every time we, the only way we can get him to stop is to use one of our bet win tokens.
Oh, I thought it was just you had to press the X button an
reprieve.
insane amount of times to not die. Or was it a square button?
Circle. You had to press circle because it was the hardest button to hit on the PlayStation controller. I would bet if our health bar gets to 0, we can use our total bet score tokens to get a continue.
I sure hope so, because I've been saving them up for a while now. So we're going to need to use them at some point, and I don't want to know when, but I want to be prepared in case we do. So
speaking of the Demon Bot, here he comes, clomping over.
Congratulations, you have successfully reviewed Jaws. Your souls are safe for another week. For next week, you must review the 1999 film The Sixth Sense, directed by M. Night Shyamalan and starring Bruce Willis, Haley Joel Osment, and Toni Collette. If you do not, your souls will be forfeit and I shall claim your bodies as my own.
Okay, well, we can watch that. We can watch The Sixth Sense, can't we, Roxy?
Oh no, The Sixth Sense, Mikey. This was my childhood trauma movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's probably why I'm not afraid of things anymore. The same way, honestly.
Really?
It scared me so bad, and then I wasn't scared of anything else anymore. Jump scares
you had a
could not affect
lifetime
me.
of fear expelled just watching this one film.
Yeah, which I guess this is just speaks to how powerful it is. I've literally never watched it since that initial watch through, though. So,
Ooh.
I am looking forward to seeing what it's going to be like watching it, like, I don't know, 20 years later, however long it's been.
Well, okay, I'm excited to watch it again, too. I liked it. I saw it a bunch. I feel like this is
really?
my favorite movie of 1999.
Oh, it came out in 99. I couldn't even remember what year it came out in. Nice.
Let's make a bet for next week. What do you say?
Okay. 6 cents bet. May I come up with it?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
How about how many ghosts are in the movie total do we see?
Okay.
We have to be able to see them. An individual
I'm gonna
ghost,
say-
not like seeing them multiple times.
Right, yeah. I'm not counting individual
I'm
appearances.
just being specific. All right.
How many camera cuts
Yeah.
do we do on Misha
Different
Barton's face?
scene change.
I'm going to say 11. I think that might be a little hot. 11.
Okay, well, I'm going to Price is Right you again, I guess, and say 12.
Damn.
So,
That's a good bet.
I mean, hey, if it's less than 11, you automatically win. And then if it's more than 11, I automatically win.
And if it's 11 and a half, because one of the ghosts is split in half, like that guy in
13
What?
ghosts.
13 Ghosts,
Ghost lawyer, yes.
then we'll have another tie.
Well, perfect.
The pact has been sealed. I mean, the bet is confirmed. Whoever is closest to predicting the number of dead people you see shall be declared the winner. The winner shall receive this phone, which Bruce Willis has used to phone in every performance he's done since this film.
Roxy, let's stop talking about such maudlin things like
Maudlin?
shark bites and ghost bites. And let's talk about what's making us happy. What's got you smiling outside the scary basement this week?
Big surprise, Mikey, is video game related yet again.
You love video games.
I do, so do you. Hopefully people listening do, because otherwise they'll just be like, just fucking stop.
Why are you
but I'm
talking
not
about
gonna
the
stop.
circle button when you talk about torture?
Yeah, like why?
It does make no sense when you think about it in that context.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I don't even know if you have no context of what the PlayStation 1 PlayStation 1 controller looks like. Like, how do you even process that? Anyway, speaking of PlayStation 1, the thing I'm excited about is Chrono Cross, Mikey, which they're doing
Chrono Cross?
Yeah, it's a PlayStation 1 RPG that was very formative to me playing it as a kid. They're going to be doing HD, remaster re-release on the Switch and other consoles. I'm very excited to play it. It's a beautiful game. Absolutely unhinged storyline that kind of makes no sense, but is incredibly cool. So many environments, the music, the characters. It's a really fun game, and I can't wait to replay it on a modern console.
I want to say they announced that at a Nintendo Switch event.
Yeah,
right?
I think, yeah, they did. And
I
we were
was
hoping
watching-
it was more of a remake instead of just up-res everything and repackage it. But I'll take what I can get at this point.
I was going to text you and say, hey, congrats. I know that the Chrono games mean a lot to you, but I also, I was watching it live and I was afraid you were going to watch it later, because I know you sometimes, watch it later on stream. So I was I can't spoil it for her if she's going to keep it late. And then I didn't remember when, a few days later, when, you clearly would have watched it or heard about it if you were going to hear about it.
I had another friend who spoiled it for me anyway. We're, both fans of the game. We talked about, a long time ago, hey, we should stream the game. And then he and his wife had a child, and then he couldn't do anything like that anymore.
That's messed up.
I mean, priorities, man. I get it. But I'm not going to say I'm not disappointed by it. Steve, you know.
Holy
Calling him
Christ.
out. I have so many friends who are called Steve. It'll be it'll be a who's who to find out who is the Steve I'm talking about.
I love the idea that you have a Justice League of friends named
They're
Steve.
all named Steve. Yep, I sure do.
Steve, it's Steve. Come in.
And I love them all, but I'm annoyed at this one
Me
because
too.
we will never get to stream Chrono Cross. Anyway, what is making you happy this week, Mikey?
Well, Roxy, I already referenced her earlier in the podcast. She was barking. This little dog I'm watching.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're dog sitting. This is wonderful. You even sent me a photo. It's a very good, cute little dog.
I love this
medium
dog. Her name is Shima. She is a pit bull, but whatever mix she is, she's a forever puppy. She's just very
yeah,
small.
Yeah.
And she's so funny and she's so smart. So like, okay, so Shima eats right when she wakes up, right?
Okay. Like half asleep
And
dog.
if I'm being lazy and can't get out of bed, she won't like bark or whine or anything. She'll come up to my sleeping face that's pressed against the pillow and she'll like dig her nose under my head. Like she's burrowing out and like lift up. And like, so like lifting my face up off the pillow. And then if I do like you kind of wake up and you're
cold
like, huh?
dog nose too. So like not only the motion, but like cold dog nose.
It kind of shocks me.
Yeah.
If I lift my head off the pillow even a little bit, she will squirm under and lay on the pillow. So I physically can't put my head down.
And she just becomes the new pillow then. Little does she know, now she's the new pillow.
She's got that weird like muscular dog body.
Oh yeah, I guess it's pretty
hard
then.
But I just think that's like so smart. It's like not annoying. It's just like cute and it's like a good plan. I love this dog. She's really nice.
And she's like, I know you need to be up anyway, Mikey. Like, you shouldn't still be in bed anyway. I'm doing you a favor, actually, by making you come feed me.
I am absolutely more productive when I'm here at my friend's house.
Hell yeah. Maybe I need a dog, man. Wake me up. Keep me on track.
Keep you regular.
The cutest alarm clock. I mean, I was just talking about how much I hate alarm clocks. Maybe this is the solution, Mikey.
I think you would grow to hate a dog. I think you hate alarms so much.
Oh no, if it became my alarm, yeah, it would transfer. You're right. Okay, I'm never getting a dog then.
Okay. Roxy, each week the Demon Bot hires a new monster to guard the basement door to keep us from escaping, and yet each week we still escape. I got a plan to get past the guardsmen this week.
Okay.
Take a look?
Yeah. Who is it this time?
This week I brought a king-sized Butterfinger. Here's the thing.
Okay.
The way I see it, we're always so quick to either run away from or attack these guardsmen. Maybe we can buy their affection. Let's just try it.
That's not a bad plan. I can get on board with that.
All right.
Let's hope whoever's up there is amenable to speech and Butterfingers.
And we'll open the basement door. Oh no, Roxy! It's just a Leatherface!
Ah!
It's a Leatherface! We gotta run! Get out of here! Go! 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 Go!